Let's talk a little bit about the str method, right? And this is also str means the underscore. So there are two underscores, double underscore. So d underscore, so underscore. Okay. So this underscore str underscore, right? So this method is also a special method, right? So a special method. These methods which are preceded by underscore and also succeeded, right? That come after it, right? So those normally those methods are special methods, right? So this is also a special method in Python, right? So what it does is, so the str method is a special method, okay, which gets invoked means which gets called, right? Invoke means call, okay, which gets called when the object is, right, is being printed, right? So for example, you put it in a print statement, the object itself. So in that case, this method is called, right? Underscore str underscore. So let's see how it works, okay? So here, let me make it a little bit bigger, still bigger, bigger, bigger. So I hope this is good enough, okay? So here, look at this. So now it's the same class, just like before, right? Nothing different here. See, we have defined a class, right? With the name what? Student, right? And then there's a constructor. This is the constructor, right? This whole thing is the constructor. Constructor means which gets called, right? When the object is instantiated. Okay, and also now this is something new here, right? Underscore, not underscore, underscore, str underscore method. So here, see, now we have defined this method right here. See, def underscore str underscore, right? Okay, and then these are called instance methods. Okay, so this is also an instance method, right? This is also an instance method. So normally these instance method, their first, first parameter is self. See, the first parameter here is self, and then comes whatever other parameters you want to define, right? So just like that here. So you know, it doesn't have any parameters basically, but it takes the self as the first parameter. Okay, all right. So and then so when you try to print this, the student object, right? Because this is being this def underscore underscore underscore, right? So this method is being defined within what? Within the student method, right? This method right here. Sorry, not class, student class, right? So now whenever you try to print, whenever you okay, let me repeat that once again. Okay, so whenever you try to print the any instance, okay, whenever you try to print the instance of this class, then you know so you are basically calling this function automatically. Automatically this function gets called, right? So when this function gets called, what happens is that, okay, I'll show you in the whiteboard as well. That okay, let me first explain this, and then I'll go back to the whiteboard and try to explain in more detail. Okay, so this gets called, right? So this function gets called, right? And then after this gets called, then this and then this statement right here, this gets executed, right? So what does it do here? So it's returning something. What is it returning? It's returning a string. Okay, so this is a string basically, right? It's returning an instance. A string, right? It's returning a string. So what is this string? Okay, what's in this string? Okay, let's see. So these are like these. You see these pair of curly braces here and then here, right? So and then they are inside single quote. You can put double quotes or single quotes. It doesn't matter. Okay, both will work as long as you close with the same, same quote, right? If you start with a double quote, you need to close with double quotes, right? If it's a single quote, you start with single quotes, right? You need to close with a single quote. Okay. So now here these are placeholders. Okay, you can think of them as placeholders. So what value go in there? So after that, you have dot format, right? Dot format, and then see this placeholder gets this value right here, self.name, right? And then another, the second one, right? Second placeholder gets the second value, this value, self.grade value. Okay, so now let me run this, right? Okay, I'm gonna run this. See, I ran that, so now this student class, it got executed, right? And then now let's do something here. Okay, let's create two instances. See, I created two instances. I created one instance named student1, right? See, this is how you create instance, right? So here is student, and then you need to you're providing two values. Why are you providing two values? Because here, see, as soon as you instantiate like this, see, you instantiate. This is called instantiation. That means making copy, right? So you're making a copy of student right here, right? And then so what happens is, as soon as you do that, what happens? This method gets called, right? Init, the constructor gets called, right? So, but when you look at the constructor, right? Look at the constructor. See, it's expecting two arguments. See, you need to provide value for what? You need to provide value for name, and then also you need to provide the value for grade, right? So that's what we're doing here, right? See, we're providing the name for that instance, right? And then the value for grade, right? Grade, okay? And then likewise in student 2, we're doing the same thing. It's another copy, right? Student 2 is another copy here, another instance, right? See, now I basically ran it, right? So now we created two instances, student 1, right? We created two instances, student 1 and then student 2, right? And then we're trying to see, we're printing them, right? Using the print statement, right? You have this print statement within the, print statement, okay? You are providing this argument, right? Student 1 and student 2. See, now what happened here? So this is the crucial part. So when this statement, for example, this statement, right? This is statement runs, right? And this statement runs, then see, you're trying to print this object instance, right? You're trying to print this object instance. So now, in that case, as I explained a little, moments ago, right? So what I said was, when you try to print the instance of this, right? This class, then this gets called. I said that, right? If you remember. See, now when I try to print this, right? This got called, right? This got called means, yeah, the execution went here, right? And then after that, it went here, right? So here it's returning a string, right? See, it's returning a string. So what gets printed? Means, okay, so this placeholder, right, gets self.name. What is self.name for this? This one, right? Katie Holmes, right? And then here, the second one, right? It gets the value from here, right? Self.grade. So what is grade? Grade is 1, right? So see, now what gets printed? See, Katie Holmes studies in grade 1, right? That's what it is, right? So that's what you see here, down here, right? Likewise for this one, student 2, right? It's the values for name and grade are different for this, of course, right? So what gets printed? See, Mike Tyson studies in grade and then 2, right? 2. Okay, that's what you get here. Okay, so let me quickly, okay, explain this in the white. Okay, so let me go back to my whiteboard here. Okay, so let's see. Let's see if I can right here. Okay, so what we're doing here is, see, I won't write the whole class, but I'll just write the str statement, right? Sorry, str underscore str underscore method, right? So let me do that. Let me use, let's say, the pen, right? Okay, so we have what? Def, right? Define, okay? So the function definition, right? Underscore str, okay. Probably I can, right? So we have str, right? And then again we have what? The underscore, right? And then we have this, right? Colon, right? And then here, what we're doing is what? Return, and then there's a string, right? I'm starting the string here, and then I have what? A placeholder here, right? Studies, right? In, okay, and then another placeholder here, right? And then I close the code, right? Which I started here, and then after that we have dot format, right? Dot format, and then what? Self dot name, right? Okay, and then comma, and then I'm gonna have to write just look here, right? Okay, self dot grade, right? That's what the code is, right? Okay, so now let me reiterate what I said before, right? So now see, when you're trying to print the instance here, see, you're trying to print this instance right here, see, right? You're trying to print this instance. So when you try to print this instance, so this instance is what? Let me just write it down here. Okay, so I'll just draw a picture of that, you know. Let's say this is the instance called student one, right? Let's call it student one, and then I'll just write its, you know, instance variables, which is name, and then what? We have grade, right? Okay, so what's the name of student one? Can you give me the answer? You have any idea, Yana? Okay, let's see. If something in chat. Okay, very good, very good. Yes, that's right. Katie Holmes, right? Okay, so yeah, that's what it is. Let's see. Okay, so I'll just write KH, right? Okay, because I don't have much space here, right? So how about the grade? Grade is, of course, it's one, right? Okay, let me chat. Grade one. Yes, excellent. Very good. Yeah. Okay, so it's one, right? So now what happens? You see, I'm trying to print whenever. So let me draw a line here, and then when I try to print this, so this is an instance, right? So this is what? This is an instance or the copy, right? So this is instance of what? Okay, this is an instance of student, the class student, right? Okay, this is the class instance of class student, right? So now when I try to print, right, print that instance, see, when I do student one, right? Okay, so now what happens is this, you know, this gets called, okay? This method within the student class, okay, which is defined inside student class, right? This, you know, this whole function, right? This is defined where? Inside the student class, right? So this gets called. So this gets called mean what, right? So what then? You know, execution goes here, of course, right? And then after that, it goes here, right? And then here it returns something, a string. Now, so this is this string, the whole thing. Okay, you can take the. Okay, so okay, so this is the string that gets returned, right? This is the string that gets returned. So what's happening here? So if you have something like this, see, you have some, you know, some characters, right, within the quotes, either single quotes or double quotes, pair of single quotes or double quotes, dot format, right? And then you have these, you know, required arguments, right? So now what happens is, see, the first one, this one, okay, I'll use a different pen here. So here, see, this, you know, this placeholder. So this value right here, okay, goes where? Goes in the first placeholder right here, right? And then the second one goes to the second placeholder right here, right? So self.name, Katie Holmes. So here you'll have what? Katie Holmes, right? Studies in, and then this grade, right? Grade. So self-dot grade for student 1 is what? 1. And then this gets replaced by what? 1. Okay, so now obviously what you get? You get what? So you get Katie Holmes, right? Okay, studies, right? In uh, rather, okay, uh, in grade 1 probably, right? So probably I forgot to put a grade here, I think, whatever. Okay. So grade, so if it's grade there, so you have grade 1. Okay, so that's how it works. Okay, so that's how the str method, the underscore str underscore method, which is a special method, as I mentioned. Okay, that's how it works. Okay, so now I'll move on from there. So do you have any questions before I move on? Yana, do you have any questions? Okay, let's see. Okay, great. Okay. All right. So now, in that case, yeah, we can move on then. Okay, so far we have looked at this special kind of methods like the underscore str, underscore init underscore, right? So these are specific. This is a special method here. This is a special method, right? Str underscore init underscore, right? So now, let's look at some, regular methods, right? Which are not special methods, but, regular methods, right? Let's see. Uh, so let's define a regular method right here. You see up down here. So this class is the same class. So we have been using the same class over and over, right? Okay, since, last time, right? See, this is the exact same thing that we, saw up there, right? So now this is something new here, right? See, this is a regular method, right? Or normal method, whatever you want to call it, right? So here, def grade of self. Okay, so here this is of course this is a what instance method, because see you see this self here, right? So this is an instance method. So now what's happening here? Let's see. Okay, def grade underscore. As I said before, see, do you remember from last time that I said that methods are verbs, right? So grade up means something like verb, right? You're, uh, you know, raising the grade, right? Right, something like that. So, okay, so if that student is in grade 1, so when you call this method, it will be grade 2, right? 1 will be added. Okay, so now let's see. I define this method, right? I define this method here, right? So it's just like uh, like a regular function. See, there's the def keyword, you have the name of the function, right? In this case, method, right? Function is just method is just a function which is defined inside a class, okay, normally. Okay, so and then the first parameter is always self if it's an instance method, because this is instance method, right? And then here, what are we doing? What are we doing here? Right here, we're doing what? Self dot grade plus equal to 1 means the self dot grade is incremented by 1. That means self grade is equal to self dot grade plus 1, right? So we are incrementing self dot grade, that value by 1. Okay, so now let's run this. Okay, and then okay, and then I'm gonna run this one as well. Okay, uh, okay, let's see. Yep, here, see? Now, what we're doing here, see, we instantiated 2, right? This one and 2 instances, Sam and Tom, right? So one instance is Sam, another instance is Tom, right? And then as expected, so when you print Sam, the str, this underscore str, right? This method is called, right? As I explained, earlier. So what happens? Sam Smith, see, Sam Smith, okay, studies at level 1, right? Likewise, Tom Cruise, see, Tom Cruise, right, studies at level 3, right? So now, okay, so far It's just like before, right? Just like before. Now, okay, now let's call the method this grade up method, okay, which we define. We define this, right? As you see here, see, we defined it here, the method called grade up, right? So let's call that method, right? So what we're doing here is let's call that method and see what happens, right? See, now I call the method on this instance, right? See, that's why it's called an instance method. See, you call that method on the instance. See, Sam is instant, as in is an instance, right? See, Sam is an instance of what? Student class, right? So you're calling that. See, whenever you have the instance dot and then the name of the method, right? And then parentheses, right? So here you're calling this method, right? You're calling this method, right? On what? On Sam. What is Sam? Sam is the instance. Instance of what? Instance of student class, right? So when you do this, now what happened? Okay, so okay, I haven't run it yet, have I? I haven't run it probably, right? So let me run it and see what happens. See? Now see, okay, what is the difference between let me make it a little bit small so that I can see both results in the same screen, hopefully. Okay, let's see. Okay, yeah, right here. See, now previously, see, Sam Smith was at level 1, right? Previously, see, Sam Smith was in level 1, right? And then here, you see this? Now his level is 2 now. Initially, it was 1, right? After we called this, right, grade up method on Sam, his level is 2 now. See there? Okay, so if I run it again, this gets called again, and then the level also goes up, means it will be 3. Okay, let me run it once again. See, now it's 3, right? So every time you call this method, right, grade up, what happens? See, every time you call this method, now what happens? See, the value of grade, self-grade grade will increment or increase by 1. Okay, so that's how the regular instance method is called. Okay, is how that's defined. Okay, this is the definition, and you call it like this, right? So right now, see, it doesn't expect any arguments because okay, let me talk a little bit about this one, right? So let me go back to the whiteboard, then try to elaborate that a little bit in detail, right? Okay, so okay, I'm going to write that function once again, right? Okay, let me write this function. So which function? Grade up, right? So this inside this string class, right? So here I have what def, right? Definition, right? And then what I had grade up, right? Grade underscore up, right? Sorry. Okay, let me write it down again. Grade up, right? Grade underscore up, and then within the parenthesis there is self. You need to have self. Okay, you'll see why. You'll see why in a moment. Okay, we have this colon here, and then what? What did we do? It's a what? Self, right? Self dot grade plus equal to 1. I think that's what it is, right? Okay, yeah, that's what it is. Right? Okay, so here, what happens? See, now when I instantiate that, right? When I instantiate, so for example, we instantiate student 1, right? Student 1, right? And then let's uh, you know make a figure for that. Right? So this one has what? Name is what's the name of this student 1? Sam Smith in this case, because I'm using a different, so Sam. So not, so now, this is not student 1, right? So this should be what? Sam, right? So this instance is Sam, right? Okay, so the name is what? Sam Smith, right? I'll write it down here, Sam Smith, right? That's the name. And how about grade? Our let's see, grade, right? So that's grade is what? What's the grade? Grade is initially the grade is 1, right? Initially the grade is 1. So this grade is 1, right? So now when you instantiate, so now I don't think I have to write the code for instantiation. You already know that, right? How to do that, okay? So when I do this, okay, so for example, I already instantiated, right? I already instantiated Sam, right? So now when I do this, when I call, right, Sam, right, is the instance, right? Dot, and then I call this, right? How do I call this? I call that by the name, right? Which is grade up, name of the method, right? Grade up. And then here, nothing, right? So I'm not providing anything. See, this is empty. There's nothing here, right? This is empty. Now, so this is how you call. So what happens? What happens when you call it, right? So you're calling an instance. So now, when you're calling like this, what happens is, okay, let's see. So now, see, we have grade up, right? So that means, okay, so it's calling this function method, right? So this method gets called, and then when you're calling this, right? When you're calling this, now this, the instance itself, right? This instance gets passed, okay, as the argument. See, now it's something like you're calling it like this. So equivalently, you're calling it like this. See, it's like grade up, right? And then you're passing Sam there. Okay, so it's something like this, right? So that this the instance Sam is being passed, okay, to this method, right? So that's the reason we need, see, now the value of self will be what? Now what's the value of self? Can you give me the response for that, answer for that, Anna? What will be, so when we call this, right? When we call like this, right? So what will be the value of self right here? Can you try? Okay, let's see. Something. Oh, good. Yes, it's Sam, right? Very good. Yeah. So see here. Now this, yeah, excellent. That's good. Yeah. So this is basically what? This is the value of self will be what? Because see, this guy, as I said, right? This gets passed, right? Sam is, in this case, Sam is being passed, right? So now that would be what? Sam, right? So that means, so now what do you have here? Sam, right? Basically, I have what? Sam dot grade, right? So basically, this will turn out to be what? Sam dot grade, okay? And then was equal to 1, right? Okay, all right. So that's how it works. Okay? So now when you evaluate this, right? When you evaluate this, what happens? When you evaluate this one, then what happens? Sam dot grade is equal to Sam dot grade plus 1, right? So now that will be what? Now this will be, so as you know, right? Always the right hand side, right? The right hand side gets evaluated first, right? So Sam dot grade in this case is 1, right? So that will be 1, right? And then plus, and then this one, right? This one. So that will be what? 2. So Sam dot grade will be 2, right? So that's now this will be 2. This 1 will be replaced by 2. Okay. So when you print it, then you get grade 2, right? Or level 2. Okay. So that's how it works.